welcome. You are tuned in to No Covers Live here at the David Walker Economic, Educational, Health, and Culture Center out of Wilmington, North Carolina. We're coming in for a conversation tonight. We're coming in on 3 different channels. We're on Blog Talk Radio. We're on Anchor. We're on Facebook Live as well, and the Melanin channel. So on several different channels tonight, we're trying to work these things out. And if anybody know an engineer, your brother needs a need of an engineer, because I'm doing all this on my own. I need a good engineer, a very not costly one though. Please help me out. Before we get started, I want some shout outs. I want to send shout outs to everybody that helped out last other weekend with the David Walker celebration here in Wilmington. Definitely want to give shout out to you all. I want to make sure we're on all channels before we get started. But I want to give a shout out to my DJ, Brother Benjamin. Came in and did a wonderful job. I see that I'm on. I'm waiting for my wife to give me a response that we're good. And if we're on Facebook Live, somebody go into the comment section and say you can hear me, because last time you couldn't hear me and we were talking all night long. The call-in number tonight is posted on there, 563-99-3079. 563-99-3079 when we get into the conversation. I want to thank Brother Sam, who always is with me. Mildred Bethea, want to thank her. Safe Farm Security, who came out. Trina Slade, who was always donating to our campaign in Africa. Pam and John just mutes. I want to thank them. That's my family. Called Pam and John, my brother and sister from another mother. But they're always around. Rashad Rockman down in Fayetteville, him and his family. I want to thank my children and my family who have supported me over the years and they allow me, I keep telling this, I tell people all, they allow me to continue to do what I do, because at any given time they can call and say, Daddy, we had enough, and you coming home and you ain't doing this no more. So I want to thank them as always for doing what they do. Vincent Burgess, Shanita Taylor, who came out, Carrie Ashate, and Brother Robert, who came by today. My people that came by today, Robert Bellamy. They have Speak Your Peace. I want to thank Speak Your Peace for they jumped right in and saw what we was doing and came on board. Brother and me came by and had a good conversation today. Very good conversation. Matter of fact, he's put some videos of us on the Speak Your Peace channel. And I just joined the Speak Your Peace channel today for the first time. Channel. I can see you all. It's 563-99-3079 when we get to talking about this theory. You may want to chime in. You may want to talk. David Elijah Jennings, I just met him today. Brother had an hour conversation with me down here at the David Walker Center. Want to give a shout out to him. As always, just shouting out people who've supported us along the way. And if I miss anybody, I'll catch you on the next time. Sister Maria Muhammad, her and her family came out last weekend. Brother Matt Jerome, all the way from Zimbabwe. Zambia. He's not in Gambia. Tanzania. Brother Mac is in Tanzania. I got to remember that. Brother Mac is in Tanzania. Jerome, hey, and I know he's somewhere watching because he always keeping up with what I'm doing. But the time difference right now is 11:05 where they probably sleep. But I keep track of what's going on over there. But shout out to my family in Gambia. No Covers Gambia Mission. You got it on the bottom line. No Covers Gambia Mission at nocovers.org. You can catch us there. Those that contributed to the rice drop last month, appreciate it. You will be getting the video soon. We had some technical difficulties. It's rainy season over there, so we're dealing with some stuff over there right now. But we are dropping the rice over there this week, and you will get the live videos of that drop. We'll keep doing that every month. But you all that want to contribute to the June rice drop in Africa and Gambia, bongo, we got you. Just hit the box, go to donate, and hit your donate buttons wherever you at. If you're on the like channel, if you're liking what we're doing, if you're supporting what we're doing here in Wilmington, North Carolina, and across over in Gambia as well. Funding is necessary. So Frankie always say, I ask not, I have not because I ask not. So we're asking you to donate as possible. Now, I think I hit a button because of comments. I want to rethink the critical race theory. And I want to explain to you why. And then I open the door for your comments because I'm not an expert on the critical race theory. I just think we need to rethink the process. Because sometimes as a cat, you can get backed into a corner. And what you do as a cat, you fight when you're backed into a corner. But sometimes you might be fighting something that's not necessarily need to be fighting. Let's look at what happened with critical race theory. So George Floyd, here's my take, and I'm not the expert, but here's my take. George Floyd gets murdered in the middle of the street. And all around the classrooms of America, we began to have this conversation on race. The same conversation that started with Trayvon Martin. Every time someone gets killed by the police, lately, we've started to have this conversation on race. We have a conversation on Black Lives Matter. We have a conversation. So you have to understand these children are listening to conversation at home. They're coming to school now and asking their teachers questions about this conversation on race. So the teachers are trying to find a politically correct answer to answer the questions of students. This is just my take. The teachers can tell them straight up what's going on, but they'd be like me, kicked out of school. Because I got kicked out of schools before telling people, go study the video that I showed y'all last week. School to Prison Pipeline is on Vimeo. Go Google Daoud El-Amin, School to Prison Pipeline. You would get kicked out of school for telling truth on what's really happening in the school system. So because of that, the teachers now are sitting in the dilemma. They have to be politically correct. So they go search for, most of the time when we want to be politically correct, we go first for scholarly material, scholarly articles, or scholarly definitions to explain to children now what's really going on in the real world. In other words, instead of telling children, you just live in a racist society. Instead of telling children, you just live in a racist country. Instead of telling children, it ain't going away no time soon. What we do is we come up with politically correct definitions to try to explain something to them that we just be straight up honest with them and tell them the truth. So now we came up with Derek Bell's argument all the way from 1976 of critical race theory. I asked the last 2 weeks, I've been asking people, inboxing them, to just explain to me what they thought about critical race theory, or explain to me what critical race theory was. And the surprise of answers I got from African Americans was so broad that you could drive a Mack truck through the middle of the divide. About 2-3 Mack trucks. Some people, man, critical race theory is, man, white folks just mad because they don't want to feel guilty. It's teaching a history about America's racism, and white folks don't want to hear that. Critical race theory is it's about the past, and it's about the injustice system, and about the injustice with the divide of the prison system. Yeah, some of that. But as a whole, I saw that we really didn't know what critical race theory was. And that I asked a couple people this question. I said, so do you know that critical race theory was against affirmative action? What? I said, do you know that critical race theory goes against affirmative action? Because critical race theory believes that the practice of affirmative action continues to perpetuate the racism that exists in the country. That's how deep the theory goes. If you tell white folks, I said the same thing to some Proud Boys that I know. I said, did you know that critical race theory goes against the same affirmative action that you against? No. Thomas Sowell was I have a couple of his books on the shelf. I was a student of Thomas Sowell. And Thomas Sowell was an affirmative action guy. Thomas Sowell was a very conservative guy. He had problems with affirmative action. He wrote very, very few blatant articles on affirmative action. But critical race theory goes against Thomas Sowell, but yet they are against affirmative action because they perpetuate that affirmative action continues to perpetuate racism. So then I began to ask myself, let me go research and study this thing for myself. And in our research and study, I said to myself, we went down the wrong path with a theory when I can give you the facts. And what do I mean by that? I want to take you back in time with myself and why I think we need to rethink critical race theory. In my 8th grade year of school, I was able to select my schooling for 9th, 10th, and 11th and 12th grade. In Virginia, where I'm from, in the 9th grade back in the late 70s, early 80s, I was able to take a course called Black History. Black History, I took 4 units of it. 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, and 12th grade. Those units, although they were infiltrated with some American history, served as my history credits for graduation. So our school offered students to take Black history to serve as their credits for history graduation. If you wanted to take Black history, most of us thought it was a bird class. So they jumped into Black history and took Black history. They thought it was just a bird class. But I got into it and realized it wasn't a bird class. It was a deep study of African history, American history, and African American history. And it was combined so much that we were able to make a judgment based on how we felt about the system. I had white students in the classes that took African American history or Black history as an elective instead of taking American history, which was quote unquote at the time. Now it's called social studies and history. I don't know what they call it in school today, but it was called American history. They were able to take that history to substitute for their history and get their credits to graduation. What am I saying? I'm saying instead of critical race theory, why don't we propose to teach and bring Black history back into the school system? Why don't we bring African American history or African American studies, whichever one you want to call it, Black studies, Black history, African American studies, African American history, however you want to call it. Let's bring that back into the school system and offer a choice. Let's not force people to accept something they don't want to accept. And they're not going to accept it. You can hit them till they're blue in the face. They don't want to accept it, and they're not going to accept it. If you're in a marriage with someone that y'all don't get along, y'all don't agree, you're not going to accept it, it's never going to function. We're in a marriage. Listen to me carefully. We're in a marriage where 50% of the people of this country are not going to accept our marriage. The other 50% will accept your marriage. So you're in a catch-20. If you push it on them, that 50%, like those boys that go down to school boys, are going to balk because they don't want you telling them how to raise their children the same way I don't want you telling me how to raise mine. All I want you to do in mine is give them the options that I used to have when I went to school. I want mine and yours to be able to go to school and say, hey, I want to learn about African American history. So I can come out of school with you already got American history from K through 8. You already got that. You already got George Washington, Thomas Jefferson. You already get that in social studies. You already got all that. Now for your credits to graduate from school, I want to propose that we teach children African American history, and here is why. Because now you have those white students who will also take the class. And then they can make a judgment of their own, on their own accord, on their own process of whether this country is still underbedded with racism. Then they can explain to their parents on their own accord, based on their own independent study. They can explain to those parents. Sometimes it's nothing like a child hitting you upside the head. They can explain to their own independent parents how this thing is still entwined. There's nothing wrong with critical race theory. What is wrong, I think, is the way we are handling it and the way the school system is trying to push it. Because they can't be correct. They got to be politically correct. They just can't tell the children the truth. So since you're going to lie to them anyway, why get a theory to them that they're not going to understand? Why push something to them that they're not going to understand? Why put your foot back or push something that's going to cause a pushback from the parents that really don't understand? But teaching constant Black history is what we do. Teaching the history of Black people in this country. Teaching the struggles of Black people in this country. Teaching the survival. I was just telling a brother today, Brother Bellamy came out today. Do you know our DNA structure scientifically? If you broke down the DNA of Black folks in America right now, if you went into the genetic code, just think about the genetic code. If you want to get into science, you want to get into biology, you want to talk about the history of African Americans in this country, if you break down the genetic code of Black people, we survive. We're the embryos, we're the genetic offsprings, the egg, the cells that survive. Not only those that survived the Holocaust, the Holocaust, those that survived the Holocaust, the Middle Passage, that's what it was a Holocaust. I didn't slip. Sometimes Freudian slips get to you and you say the right thing. It was a Holocaust. Those that survived that Middle Passage. Then those that turned around and survived the plantation life and slavery and going through we are the offsprings, and that genetic code is in us. That is why you see us excel at everything. It's a genetic code. Not that we bigger, we stronger. It's just a genetic code. The genetic code makes us not superior. You say that's a bad word. But it does make us not inferior to anyone on the planet Earth. Let me say that to be safe. Not superior, but we're not inferior to anyone on the face of the earth because we have survived what most people would have bailed out. Most races would have not survived it. We are the offsprings of that. So now you bring into our culture and teach our culture and history to our children, and then they can make a choice. And then they will be better equipped how to maneuver. You all keep believing that 3079. Operate on a totally different premise. I just operate on the premise that she's going to stay the way she is. I would hope she not. I pray she doesn't. I pray for her own sake, not for my sake, and not for our sake. I pray for America's sake that she doesn't, that she does change. But if I'm a gambling man, over the last 59 years of my life, I don't see much change in movement. I've seen some trinkets being thrown at us, and I've seen things that go throw our way just to pacify us, like I see critical race theory being thrown our way to pacify us. It doesn't do anything. Because the underwriting system that critical race theory is talking about is still there. Till you change the court. Yeah. Till you change the Supreme Court. You all just found that out in Roe versus Wade. Didn't you? Didn't you wake up the other day, some of you women, and say, why did I vote Republican? Yeah. Until you change the mindset. Critical race theory is not going to change the mindset. It just opens a conversation that I want to have this conversation. If they don't want to have the conversation, they won't. But their children. I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to get the children to have the conversations for you. No, they got to go back home to their parents. And that's not the place to do it. Let them learn about your history and let them independently learn about your history without being forced. That way, we'll be able to get something for our children who need to be taught African-American history. I've been on two things in the school system: security and African-American history. Security wanted to make these children safe, and African-American history back into the school system. It was an elective back in the early 70s. A lot of women, North Carolina, I studied your history. You hated African-American history. You didn't have it in your school system. Up north, African-American history was a norm. Black history was a norm. You could take Black history and graduate. And a lot of those kids came out studying France Fanon, studying Dr. Carter G. Woodson, studying all the ISIS papers at an early age. I learned about 1898 before I came to Wilmington, North Carolina, in the school system in Newport News, Virginia. I knew about the Wilmington 10 before I came to North Carolina in the school system in Newport News, Virginia. I came down to Wilmington and children didn't even know about the Wilmington 10 or 1898 because they wasn't taught it in the school system. They were given a blanket history, and all of a sudden, here comes February, and what history teachers do in the school system is they slide in Frederick Douglass, they slide in Martin Luther King, they slide in maybe one or two to Nat Turner Revolt and John Brown. That's all you're going to get. You ain't going to get Denmark Vesey down in South Carolina. You're not going to get David Walker out of Wilmington, North Carolina. You're not going to get the Wilmington 10. You're not going to get anything on 1898. Nowadays you will, just a blanket celebration, but they don't give you the real history of 1898 and do an insert dissection of what really happened. 4 years of African-American history, a Black student in New Haven County would come well equipped to move anywhere on the chessboard of this world. Chessboard of the world. 4 years of African-American history, 4 years of Black studies, 4 years as an elective course. Any Black student coming out, so we got to fight for what we need, not for what's going to help them. I don't care if they ever understand that racism exists in this country. Long as my children know it exists and have the tools necessary to be able to move and maneuver around the system that exists. Because until it collapses, which you don't want it to collapse, you don't want it to collapse. You don't want Babylon to fall because you lose your air conditioner. You can't stand losing that. Your cars, you can't stand using that. You're already mad because gas is too high. You don't want it to go to $10 an hour, $10 a gallon. You lose your vacation. You lose some of your jobs. You lose your going to the grocery store, picking what you want to off the shelf. You lose all of that when you collapse America. So you all that want to collapse this country, I met him. We're still on live. So that's just my take. Y'all can take it or leave it alone. I was hoping Steve Lee called in tonight, 563-99-3079, because I wanted to talk to him because he said he had a take on this. If anybody wants to call in, the line is still open. But that's just where I'm at right now with critical race theory. If you tell me that teaching this is going to eradicate racism, I'm okay with it. But it's not going to eradicate racism. Racism, I don't believe, will ever be eradicated as long as this country exists, because it was built on the premise of it. So I'm okay with that. What I want to do is make sure my children are equipped. Your children are equipped. Your husbands, your fathers, your sisters, your wives are equipped how to operate and maneuver in this system that's already set in place, so that they can succeed like everyone else. If that's what's taught, then I'm okay. But that's not taught. You taught, oh, this was happening. And the flip side of that, I gotta say it. The flip side of teaching it that way, sometimes you give us a crutch to lean on that we don't need to lean on. I don't need my children to have a crutch in 2022 that they always point the finger at somebody else is the reason for their problems. No, the reason for most of our problems right now don't have nothing to do outside of our community. They have everything to do with what we need to be doing and getting busy doing. And if we do what we do, teach our children right, raise them right, work our community right, secure our community, take care of our wives, take care of our children, we go back. So I remember I told you the other day, you asked for a king. That wasn't a play on words. I told you, you asked for a king and you got a king. You were segregated schools. Yeah, they were segregated, but they were good. Segregated communities, they were segregated, but they were good. Housing, they were still good. We were making it. We were doing it. We were growing. And then we asked for the king and went into that process. And now you're sitting here now. So now what we want to teach is critical race theory and think that's going to eradicate the racism in the country. It's not. I don't operate that way. I don't teach my children to operate that way. I teach my son to go into the military and know, watch your back, understand you got to be very careful, understand you have to watch what you do, but understand how this country operates and don't believe for a second it's going to change. I got a caller. Let me bring this caller in as quickly as possible. 515. I think I can get you in here. 515-10039. I'm calling you live with no covers. How you doing this evening?
What's going on?
How you doing? Who is that there?
How you doing?
I'm doing. Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. Listen to the show, man.
We still trying to move.
Yeah. You're talking about critical race theory. Hey, look. First of all, it's not even being taught in school.
Well, I know North Carolina has a ban on it right now.
No, North Carolina doesn't have a ban because it's not even being taught. It's not being taught anywhere.
Well, that's a good thing.
I mean, critical race theory is not being taught anywhere in the United States of America. Anywhere.
That's a good thing.
It's not being taught. Huh?
That's a good thing.
It is a good thing.
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
But the problem with critical race theory is most people don't even understand it, where it originated, and why it was originated, and why the curriculum wasn't even built for school kids. It was built for college law students by Professor Derek Bell and Kimberly Crenshaw.
Right.
And it was built on the level how it got. Here's what happened. There was a man in 2020 named Christopher Rufo, and he figured. You remember Brother Dawood in the old days? They used to always use the big black man to fight segregation. Was going to get with your daughter and would scare white folks.
Yes, yeah. That first movie they showed.
Yeah. Right. The Klansman.
Yeah, the Klans movie. Yeah, I remember that one.
Okay. So they're doing the same thing with critical race theory in 2022 is they're using it to say this is, anytime there's a group, not all white folks, so I don't want to put everybody in a general category, but there are a group of people that anytime you say anything black, they going to get excited. That base is going to get agitated like you poured acid on it. So what happened was this guy named Christopher Russo came up with a way to use critical race theory, even though it's not being taught, and to say, hey, they're teaching it to our children in school. Now, if you go up and ask the average person, be he or she black or white, I don't even stand the full intricacies of critical race theory. And I've been researching it for years.
I studied it for the.
I don't even understand it.
I did about 3 weeks trying to figure it out myself.
Yeah. So how you gonna teach it to children?
Right.
You can't. And it shouldn't be taught to children. But they're using it, and people running for office use it because it scares up a lot of people. It scares up.
So it becomes the boogeyman. And what I'm trying to get our people to see, I'm trying to get black folks to see. Don't go for the boogeyman thing. Just because the Proud Boys show up, don't just counter that and act like we're going to fight something we don't know what we're fighting about. What we need to be teaching, we need to push the school system to teach African American history again. Push for that.
Well, but yeah. And see, the Proud Boys ain't nothing but a modern day maybe a version of the Klan.
Okay.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
New stuff just reheated. Old food just reheated. So what they're doing, they're using it as just like they used to say, hey, if you do this for black people, if you integrate, they're gonna come rape your daughters. Well, the 2.0 version of that is critical race theory. You see these board of education people. You see these people run for board of education.
I see them,
and they say, well, you don't want critical race theory in our schools. Well, it's not in the schools. I asked a board of education person. I asked a person recently who's running for the board. I said, give me one school in Hannibal County where they teach critical race theory. She couldn't do it. I said, give me one school in the state of North Carolina where they teach critical race theory. She couldn't do it. I said, give me one school in the United States where they teach critical race theory. It's not being taught, but it is, as you say, aptly so, and so correctly, as you always do, that it is a boogeyman.
Boogeyman.
And so we react to it, and people react to it. It gets the base wound up. I can go, and so this is what this guy, Christopher Russo, decided that, hey, this will make, even though they don't understand that, we can make it seem like it's something real bad, and it'll get our base motivated. And it's working. It's actually working.
All day. Got us. That's why I had to do the show. I told you, I asked people, everybody called, was like, man, this critical, and people were just talking to me, and I'm like, do you understand? Have you Googled and read what it is? If you started to look at the language, and when I brought it up to them, I said, do you know critical race theory was against affirmative action? They're like, what? What you mean?
Right, it was.
I said it was against. Right. When I bring that to black people, they like, huh? I said, you didn't know that, but you want to push this, and you don't know that the job that you sitting in, critical race theory, is against that job. Really, if that ain't an Oxford, if that ain't like, you don't know what's really going on. And so when I started asking people that and telling them, because I was a student, I studied under I used to read Thomas Howell books, who was very against affirmative action. And so I said, well, here comes critical race theory. They're against the same thing. That's kind of odd. So as I started researching, I realized that it was so much into it that it became the boogeyman, and we're using it as the boogeyman to get us all worked up. When I'm saying, hey, let's just get back to basics. Come over to my center. Let me teach your children some African American history, and we good. But Brother Greer, I'm glad you called in of all people, because now I know. I've been wondering, is my voice out there? If Brother Greer heard me, I'm doing pretty good, bro. But I love everything you represent for this city, and I said to myself, if Linda and Peter hear me, I ain't doing that bad.
Yeah. Critical race theory. It's a political. They use it the same way politically, like they using what you used to could drive through Alabama or back in the 60s, Georgia, Alabama, and you see the Klan, how it happened, reality. Right, you drive North Carolina, really. That's someplace to do.
Yep, you can.
And you would see the Klan, and they would be burning crosses, and then you would see a billboard, and it would have a big black state trooper giving a ticket to a white girl, and all that was to incite white people, to make them like, oh man, wow, we can't let these people do X, Y, and Z because they're less than human. Well, they've updated that to using critical race theory. When you hear these people campaigning for office and they're talking about critical race theory, they're just reverting to an old playbook, tried, true, and tested, that works, and it gets people worked up. And you're right, if you really read critical race theory, it is against affirmative action.
Yeah.
You're right about that. I can see you done your homework.
Yeah.
You're right about that. It is against.
That was one of the first things. That was one of the first things in China. That was one. Derek Bell. One of the first things Derek Bell was saying was affirmative action continues to perpetuate the system of racism. That was one of his first arguments.
Right.
Because he went back and reviewed the case. So as I did my study, I said, "Do people know this?" And then when I started asking people, I'm like, "Then what are you fighting? What are you out here champagning something that you don't know? Do your research and study." That's what gets me with our people, brother. One question real quick, but I got you online. How is the black press surviving with social media? And I know if you would give your site out so people can continue to watch you, I stay on your channel and I stay with the Women's Journal. But I don't think that black people know that the black press is still surviving.
Yeah, that's a good point you made. That's a good point you made about the black press. If the black press is, we gotta keep it going. There's people like you, people like myself, other people who are trying to keep it going through social media. And a lot of people are not social media, but I can come and listen to you on social media. We got outlets. As far as the print, we got to boost that up. We got to get our print going a little bit better than what we're doing. We got to get the radio going. We had a station, and that's going. We got to get our minds together. I tried to
buy that station before my bishop left. I tried to buy that station, and he had to end up giving it to some other folks. But I reached out to a lot of people to try to buy that station. But it's coming back because Derek is on the air now, and I'm on the air. And so as we continue to do this stuff on social media, one day, hopefully, we'll get our own talk show back on the public radio station again. But, brother, I appreciate your call tonight, as always.
Okay, brother.
Peace and blessings.
You keep doing what you do. You keep doing what you're doing, man.
Thank you, sir. I will do that. Thanks a lot. That's my good brother, Peter Greer, coming out of the city of North Carolina. So it's good to have the elders. When the elders call, y'all in trouble now. Y'all, just hit the fire up under me. When the elders call, y'all, hey, strap up. We ready to go. When the elders say, "Big brother, keep doing what you're doing," that's all I need. When I get that kind of encouragement, I'm full blast. We're at the David Walker Economic Center. We will be here. We're not going anywhere. The bills are paid for. I got good relationship with the owners. We good. And so we'll be here. As always, we'll be here every evening doing shows continually. My time is running out tonight. If anybody else wants to call in real quick, I got about 10 minutes left. 563-99-3079 is our call in. That will be always the call in number for you all that want to call in and talk and add something to the show. But if you got anything out tonight's show, what I want you to do is start doing your research. Before you jump on something or before you attack somebody else for jumping on something, and you all that are listening from the other side that are against critical race theory, hey, I don't want it pushed either. What I won't push is African-American history. Because if you really study the concept, I think we need to rethink it, the whole concept. And the fact that Brother Buren just mentioned and co-signed what I said, the fact that it was against affirmative action. Some of these same people that's pushing critical race theory wouldn't even have a job if they think about it. So sometimes people get the boogeyman, and that's all it is right now is a boogeyman. Don't get excited about the boogeyman. Don't y'all, let's think, process, and figure out what we can do. And what we can do here to help us is help us teach these children their history. Bring the children down. They could start off outside with chest because I'm using chest to get them inside. 769-4237. I got a call on the air. 769-4237. How you doing this evening, sir? Ma'am? Whichever.
Good. How you doing, sir?
I'm all right.
I was just looking at you, man. I just want to say, man, I appreciate everything you're doing in the community, man.
Well, you know we're gonna keep it going, brother. I gotta keep it going for I know this is, so I gotta keep it going for you. And you know why I gotta keep it going for you. You all live, and I appreciate you calling in because you live over here on this side of town. And when y'all see that sign up there now to say I am a man, y'all gonna see that every day. I am a man. That's why I put that sign out there. I put that sign out there for y'all brothers. Now, do you know where that sign came from?
It's helping me out.
Do you know where that sign came from?
Nah, where it came from?
That sign came from the sanitation workers when Dr. King got killed. One of the posters that said, because they used to treat the sanitation workers as inhuman. So one of the posters that the sanitation workers used to carry was a sign, and it was just a black and white sign, and it said, "I am a man." That's why I put the white letters over there with a black backboard, because I want every day when you walk past that sign, nothing else you get in your head. I am a man. And when y'all see that every day, I want y'all to become the men that y'all supposed to be, because there's so much in that word man. It don't mean just, walking around carelessly. It means I'm a man. That means I'm going to take care of this ground. I'm going to fertilize it. I'm going to make sure I'm going to take care of my family. I'm going to take care of my children. I'm going to take care of the community. That's manhood. So I put that sign out there so every black male that walk past that sign, if they ask me what it means, I am a man, I can explain to them what it means. But that's what that sign is out there for. It's out there because I got hope for you. I got trust in you, and I believe in you. And that idea you gave me about painting, next, I'm going to call you either tomorrow or Saturday. You bring your paint over here, you start painting, and I got a check waiting for you.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that.
All right.
Definitely. You know when you call, I'm coming.
All right, my black man, I appreciate you. Thanks for calling in this evening.
All right, man.
All right.
No problem.
That's what we do here. That's what we're trying to do. He understands. Yeah, I am a man. That's why that sign is out there. We want every brother to walk past that sign and know I am a man. Nothing else. Sisters, I got one for y'all too. I ain't put it out there yet. I got the flip side for y'all sisters too. I got you coming. Don't worry. I ain't forgot about your sisters. I got you. But it says I got to work on the wording right now. And you got some comments for me. See, I got a blackboard over there. Got to be short and cryptic. But I got something for the sisters coming. I haven't talked to my wife and a couple more sisters about it. Once they say I'm okay with it, I'm okay with it. I know what I wanted to put up there, what I ain't. But I ain't going to say that. But I know what I wanted to put. But that would have got me in trouble for my sisters. Because I want to make sure we get rid of that, because they ain't that. You keep calling them that if you want to, but they ain't. Anyway, that's enough for tonight. We've been talking now an hour and 15 minutes. Tune in. Next time I'm on air will be sometime soon. Got to work a little bit this weekend, but we'll be right back at you in a few minutes. We'll be rewinding this, so anybody you want to share it with. Thanks for all the folks that are coming in. I'm looking at y'all on Facebook now. Thanks for y'all comments in the chat room. And peace and blessings. We are out. This is your little brother, your big brother, your second cousin to your mother, your third cousin to your father. All family. All family. Y'all ain't caught that one yet. I've been saying that for a minute. Y'all ain't caught that one yet. Second cousin to your mother, third cousin to your father. You ain't caught that yet. It's your brother, no covers. Peace and blessings.